Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name's Olivia and I'm a gender affirming voice teacher. And if you are working on voice training in any capacity, you know that it takes a long time to get to your goal voice. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of effort, but that practice can get a little tiresome. You can get a little bored of saying the same sentences, the same phrases, reading the rainbow passage 3 billion times. It gets old. So if you're sick and tired of reading the same stuff over and over again, and you are ready to kind of make that transition into more conversation practice, playing games is actually a really great way to bridge that gap. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 of the best games that I think are going to be really helpful for you in your voice training practice. So let's get started. So playing games is not just for little kids or just for family gatherings. Playing games can actually be a really great way to enhance your ability to retain your new skills with your voice. And it can be a way to be creative as well with your voice. Maybe if you've been saying the same sentences over and over again, you've been limited to those kind of sounds or those experiences. But playing games, being in sort of a spontaneous and fun environment, whether that's with friends or even on your own, that can be a way to spontaneously use your voice how you normally would. So it's an opportunity to use this new habit, this new habitual voice, and put it into this setting that you've been in before, but now you're using your new voice. Playing games can also reduce your stress. So if you're, coming out of a long day of work and you're like, oh, I have to practice, but I don't feel like it because it feels like more work, maybe playing a game could be a great option for you so that you don't feel like you're really practicing, that it feels like, oh, I'm just playing a game. It's no problem. I'm not necessarily like practicing, sitting down and practicing, because we know practicing can really feel like homework and something you have to do, which can oftentimes make you not want to do it. So when you're playing games, you can target the same stuff that you would in your practice sessions. So if you're working on vocal feminization, maybe you're working on forward resonance. If you're working on vocal masculinization, maybe you're creating a larger space for your resonance, more of a back sounding resonance. Whatever it is that you're working on, you can target those things as you play games. So the first game is a crossword puzzle. Now, I like to do a little crossword puzzle every once in a while. I have recently gotten into it on the New York Times games section. And I can really only do like Monday. I think they get harder throughout the week. But it's a really fun way to practice your voice. So if you're doing it on your own, you could be, whenever you get a word in the crossword, you can say it aloud, say it in your new voice. You could also make this something that you do with a friend or a partner, that you're maybe talking about the clues or, reading the clues aloud and then saying your answers aloud as well. So playing a game, this is like, there's a lot of mental math going on. There's a lot of thinking that goes into a crossword puzzle. So it's a great way to start really using your brain, but you're not having to say a million words. You're not having to have a full-blown conversation. You're having to say one word or a few words in the clue. So it's a way to kind of use your brain and think about your voice at the same time, but only have to say 1 or 2 or 3 words. So like I said, I like the New York Times one, but there's books you can buy. I'm sure there's other apps that you can check out that are free. But I think that doing a crossword is a super great way to start warming up your brain and your voice at the same time. The next game is Scattergories. So if you haven't heard of this, there are some options online, but you can also play the game like in real life. But basically it'll give you a letter and then it'll give you a bunch of clues. So when you press play, it'll say, okay, so it shows whatever letter, and then it shows you this list of clues. So that means that you have to come up with whatever that clue is with that letter. So for instance, in this, you have the letter B, and then you have this list of clues. So number 1, things at a football game. So maybe that would be like ball, or diseases, bronchitis, things that have buttons, bags sometimes have buttons, weekend activities, bags, playing bags. Can I do bags again? I don't know. Anyway, so I think this is a really good game. And this one, because it has a timer, this online one, which I'll link below, it's got that kind of like quick thinking. You have to think quickly on the spot to get through these. So I think that this can be a really great way to fire up your brain as well. So Scattergories is also a game that you can get in real life and you can play with friends, but I think the online one is great if you are just playing on your own. The next game I think is great is trivia. So whether this is an online thing, whether you go in person maybe to play trivia at a bar or something. I know a lot of places have trivia nights. I think that trivia is a great way to use your brain as well. So you're answering questions, maybe you have multiple choice, maybe you're coming up with it off the top of your head, but oftentimes there's a timed element. You have to think about things quickly, but you're not saying a ton of words, just like all of these. It's kind of a theme here if you haven't noticed. There's one app or website called Sporkle that I think people like for quizzes and trivia. And then, there are games like Trivial Pursuit, and then like I said, going to a trivia night or something like that in a bar in real life. So going in real life might be a great opportunity to meet people, might be a good opportunity to use your voice in a new situation where you're putting yourself a little out of your comfort zone, maybe meeting strangers or something like that. So if you're looking to incorporate sort of a practice outing kind of an element, this could be a good way to do it. The next game is called Two Truths and a Lie. So you might have played this game at a party or you might have heard of it. This game you do need to play with other people. But basically, you just come up with 3 things. You just say 3 things. 2 things are true, 1 thing's a lie. So let me come up with one here for you. Okay, I have run 6 marathons. I have performed on the Great Wall of China. I have, what else have I done here? I have performed in Paris. Okay, so those 3 things, like what would you say is a lie? Well, I have not run even a single marathon, so if you chose that one, that's a lie. So it's kind of a fun game to play with friends. So here, you're still using a lot of brain power to come up with these stories, the truths and the lie, but you're going to be using your voice a little bit longer than you would maybe in trivia or in Scattergories where you're just saying a couple of words. So this could be a good way to start saying a little bit more. So my last game for you is a board game called Baler Dash. This is something I've been playing since I was a kid, and I honestly find it so fun. It's the most fun game. But basically, you do have like a board that you're moving around on. I'm really bad at explaining games, so this is not the right video for me. But Baler Dash, okay, here's kind of what happens. One person is like the leader or whatever of the round, and they pick a word out of this box of cards, and they say this word that you definitely have never heard of. It's a word, like there's just like words in the dictionary that like we never use that are like so insane. And so then you have to write down on a card, everybody else has to write down a fake definition of the word. And then the leader of the round says all of them out loud, and then you vote for which one you think is the real one and which one's the fake one. And this is a really great one, both for creativity and just like fun. And when you're the person who's reading those words and those definitions, that's going to be really good practice. And it's going to be really good practice to try and not laugh, because it's honestly a hilarious game. I don't know if they're still making it. I tried to look around, and I think the stuff that I saw was like from the 90s, but I don't know. Baler Dash needs to get on it. but highly recommend, honestly. Very fun game. So when you're playing games, you can think about, certain targeted things if you want to, like, okay, in this round I'm going to think about resonance, in this round I'm going to think about my pitch, in this round I'm going to do this. Or you don't. Maybe you think about, okay, this whole practice I'm going to be thinking about just resonance and pitch, or whatever exactly that you're working on. Or maybe it's just a certain amount of time that you're using your voice to build up some endurance. So I'm sure that you have other games that you're playing, like, Dungeons and Dragons could be a great one. I know people use voices on there, or if you're playing online games, you might be talking to your friends when you're playing and stuff like that. So if you have some other great games that you have been really helpful for you or are particularly fun, write them down in the comments. So if you're looking to practice your voice using games, doing some conversation practice, I do have a Fem Voice practice group that meets every other week. So if you go to my website down in the link in the description, you can check that out and sign up. Please join us. It's super fun. It's a great way to connect with other people and kind of use your voice in a non-judgmental place where you can kind of have fun with your voice and get to know some other people. I'm also putting out a self-study e-course if you're just at the beginning of your vocal feminization journey. It's going to be out October 1st, so please make sure to click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up for the waitlist. So I really hope this video was helpful, and I hope that you can get some fun going in your practice sessions. Like I said, if you have any other games that you like to play that are particularly helpful or might be interesting for other people, please write them down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.